In this video, you'll learn how to get ideas for content that actually work, attract your ideal audience, and grow your social media. I'm giving you actual strategies to have a never-ending flow of engaging content ideas and never scramble to know what to post on socials ever again. By the way, thank you to HubSpot for sponsoring today's video. More about them a little later. I'm Natalia and I help you create better content and grow on social media, so let's jump right in. Before we even begin looking for ideas, we need to get one thing out of the way. In order to post consistently and actually get results on social media, we need to build a system to support us every step of the way. Now, so many people get super excited initially, get some ideas going, start posting, only to then abandon all the efforts 2 or 3 weeks later, and it's precisely because they didn't get the workflow right. Or they create their content from the Notes app, which may work, but is usually a big mess. Burnout is also such a real thing in the creative space, and that's why I'm so big on workflows and balance. Unfortunately, I rarely see creators have an actual system for gathering, for retaining, and reviewing ideas for content. And this is super important because nobody is creative at all times, and even when you have great ideas, they can easily slip through the cracks and you're likely losing them forever. That's why I always say you should approach it as a business and treat your ideas as a well-organized resource rather than just a fleeting spark of inspiration, because it's so much easier to then batch create content this way. Of course, the hardest thing is starting from scratch, but once you establish a foundation, it's only going to make your work more efficient. Now, I have a free Notion content calendar template. If you want to start now, feel free to use it yourself, but there are tons of other ways to get your ideas sorted. You can have a manual running list in a notebook, a whiteboard in the office, or use other apps like Asana, like Airtable, or Trello. The best way to create value with what you post and keep things fresh is to mix evergreen content, which works no matter the season or the year, with a sprinkle of trending content. Now, if you know what's currently talked about, what the tea is, it's a great conversation starter, or you can just join the popular conversations and get discovered this way. And it's super easy to check what's trending too. First, you can try Google Trends at Exploding Topics, which are both free websites designed for this reason specifically. Then you can move on to social media platforms and see the trending tabs there. Instagram Reels feed shows you trending audios with this arrow in the bottom left corner, which sometimes revolve around popular subjects, and you can scroll a little to identify trends for yourself. Then the Explore page is also a great way to spot fresh patterns in content. Trends can also be checked on Twitter or X. You can even switch locations there to see what's up in a particular country. YouTube has a trending tab with shorts and long videos, and TikTok suggests trending topics relevant to you in their search bar. But this is the low-hanging fruit, and so often creators focus too much of their effort on trends instead of working out a strategy first and then aligning their content with their brand values, their expertise, and the audience's needs. Even though these more fleeting, short-lived trends can be fun and very helpful at times, nothing can really replace your unique perspective. So when you find a trend, think of how you can use it to showcase your personality, tie it to your own journey, and provide true value to your followers and beyond. If you want to know how to create captivating content that attracts the right audience and has a high chance of growing your social media, then I suggest you check out the 2024 Global Social Media Trend Report. You can use the link in the description box to download it completely for free. Now, the thing is, content is constantly changing, and so do the actual people who consume it. That's why we as creators need to evolve with time, and this is where this report can really help. It gives you an actual high-level perspective on what works on social media right now and guides you as to where you should spend the most of your effort. This report is such a great resource because it doesn't focus on fleeting trends like Reels audios or trending formats, but it actually provides you with strategic, data-driven trends to help you create more engaging content strategically. It goes through each of the big trends, showing you real-life examples of brands that do it well and giving you actionable tips for each of the trends too. Something that I found super interesting is social trend number 4, which shows that people do research through social media rather than search engines, which we'll cover in more depth in just a moment, and this chart, which shows which type of content resulted in the biggest return of investment for brands. This report is made by HubSpot, who's kindly sponsoring this portion of the video, so a massive thank you to them for supporting the channel and creating such a useful resource for us. Now, if we know that one of the big trends in the social space is that people search on the platforms rather than going to, say, Google, then it's only natural that this should be a part of our own content ideation process. It's brilliant for two reasons. Not only does it help you get ideas that people clearly care about, and it also gives you actual popular keywords that you can incorporate into content in the form of spoken word or as a part of your captions to get better results and potentially reach more people. I explained the whole concept behind it in this video right here, but for now, let me show you exactly how to source ideas this way. Let's open up Instagram and go to the search bar. Now, first of all, if your interests are aligned with your own niche that you post around, then you may find tons of inspiration here on the Explore page too, since it shows you what's doing well currently in this space. You can check the posts, you can check the carousels, the reels, and take note of anything that draws your attention. Now, a great exercise here is to always ask yourself why this piece of content attracted you. Is it the color combo? Is it the headline, the form, the edit? Think about it because it can be invaluable to you in the content creation phase. Now, I love to make notes with visuals to make sure that I remember these magnetic elements to then reference later. Now, let's go to the search bar and type in our content pillars and related phrases. So say I'm a hairdresser and I can just type hair and see what gets recommended. Okay, great. We have haircut style and haircut, both of which are popular, and we have variations in here. So we can go to haircut style and take a look at what's in there. So we have some inspiration posts, we have some educational reels. So let's just keep digging. You can see that it's rather focused on men hairstyles. So you can jump back into the search and say, well, it's what it suggests. I have for women, for girls. So let's try any of those. And you see that we've got more. So first we have this inspirational highlight reel with different types of elegant haircuts. And if you scroll, you can see more similar ideas. Okay, then we have an educational reel on how to cut and style curtain bangs that did pretty well with 11.5k shares, and even better here. So we have 372k shares. So a really, really great result. I like to check the caption too, and also other content from this creator. If you go to their Reels tab, it's easy to see which ones are doing better than others. So that's another way to check for content ideas that are going to do well, but we'll talk about it in just a moment. Now, if I go back to the search bar, you can see that we have even more suggestions and even more specific keywords, which we can keep exploring and filling our database with ideas. I would also make note of any keywords that pop up here and that you find more interesting, since these are actual phrases that people search for. If you use these in your captions or your videos as text overlay, or even something that you say, of course, working them in naturally and not sounding like a robot, then the audience that's looking for these things can then find your content as a response if it's relevant and interesting. That's why optimizing your content for search through SEO practices is so crucial. If you want to know more about how it works, again, check out this video right after watching this one. At the same time, I find that Instagram is nothing compared to what TikTok offers in terms of searching for content ideas, because trust me, this is a goldmine. Loads of people use TikTok to find information, to find inspiration and knowledge, and it definitely shows when you go to the search bar. So let's jump into TikTok, and when I type hairstyle, you can already see how nuanced these keywords are, and these in and of themselves can be super inspiring to help you create content around. After all, you're likely to be an expert in your own field, so even seeing these searches can stir your imagination. And I know I often go, oh, I can do this and I can do that. It's enough for me to get the creative juices flowing. But let's see what content does well under this search term. Now, I always pay attention to the style of the video itself. I pay attention to any additional keywords or hashtags in the caption, and I take a peek inside these comments too, since occasionally you'll find really great questions in there that can tell you what to cover in your content or to separate them into other pieces of content. When you scroll lower, you'll see what others search for, which is related to your original query, and that means more content ideas and more specific keywords to use in your captions. Now, I'm sure you see why TikTok feels so much better to me, but remember that also works on YouTube, on Pinterest, etc. There's also a product section in here, which is very, very cool. And It may not be great for every single niche, but sometimes this can also stir your imagination. And even though I am not a hairdresser, far from it actually, I'm really not that great with hair, but I immediately thought that you could do something like my favorite styling tools or hair accessories or favorite hairbrushes for different hair types. So you get my point. It just, makes you feel something. Now, and a massive disclaimer in here, I feel like I always need to emphasize it. Searching for content ideas on socials is not meant to result in a one-to-one copy of the original creator's content. That would be stealing, and it's never okay. It's meant to inform you of 1, what your audience is actively searching for at this moment, 2, what topics are doing well in the niche, and 3, to inspire you creatively to play with different formulas and different styles. So the content itself should then be created 100% by you on a given subject with your own wording, with your own visuals, and maybe, sprinkling a bit of inspiration from the pieces that you've seen during the search. Now, I hope you see how the browsing is already sparking original thoughts as opposed to just looking at the best performing posts and recreating them as is. Originality will always win, and the content you create should always feel authentic to who you are and what your brand or your business offers. Now, with this out of the way, my tip would be to put the content ideas into the database straight away and note 1 or 2 related keywords from the search so that you can use them when creating them later on. At the heart of any business or even content creation is solving a problem for the audience. Now, the way people think about it is often this high-level thing, but sometimes it's the smaller, more relatable issues that can be inspiring because less people talk about them. This problem-solution angle is what I love to explore when brainstorming new content ideas. So at this point, grab a cup of coffee or tea, sit down with a piece of paper, your phone, your laptop, anything that feels right, and just start writing. The first thing I think about is when I myself struggled within my niche at the very beginning, and then I start typing. So anything goes at this point, any idea, no matter how big or small, how aligned or completely missing the core, it is considered valuable at this point because we're going for quantity. Besides, you never know where a train of thought can take you, so no curating at this point, just flow and note. I talk about marketing and content creation, so if I take my own journey as a content creator in here as an example, what comes to mind for me is struggling to balance my full-time job with posting consistently, the fears and doubts around not feeling good enough to post, worrying about what my friends would say, thinking if I should post from my own account then or create a completely new one, what gear to get, right? What light to get to record in. Now I'm thinking how I devise my own makeshift teleprompter with literally a photo frame, some piece of fabric, and my phone, which may or may not be useful to someone who is just starting out, but we're just flowing now, right? So do you see how I'm in the process of flowing through the experiences and ideas? Like, sure, not all of it will translate well to content, but that's not for this stage. At the moment, we're just brainstorming. Apart from looking at your own journey, think about what the journey of your customer or your audience may look like. After all, we're not always going through the same thing as our own audience, so it is quite common, but it's not always the case. So step into their shoes and go through the same process of writing down what their issues are. So are there any questions that your clients or viewers ask you regularly? Are there any problems that come up over and over again? I like to make notes in the form of mind maps because it so often just branches out, and when you see one big problem, sometimes it's filled with tons of smaller ones that you can break down, which can lead to amazing and helpful content. But what to do when you're at a stage when you don't know your audience as well as you'd like? Well, you can research other creators in your niche and beyond to see what questions are being asked regularly. I would follow a similar process to what I've shown you with Instagram or TikTok to find creators and then check their comment sections or story highlights to look for any community struggles and pressing questions. This can all inspire you to create wholesome content for your audience. And remember, everyone is different. Everyone has their own unique characteristics and selling points. So focus on how to serve your audience in a way that feels authentic to you. However, we're not stopping on your specific niche. Go beyond and see what other creators are doing as well. Sometimes you get amazing questions in adjacent niches or even completely unrelated ones that make you think and help you create content. You can also analyze what gets traffic, see how this can work in your niche, and do it better or maybe more thoroughly. Maybe there is a specific format of post that drives a lot of engagement for these creators. Maybe there's a cool trend within that industry and you can think of a way to translate it to your niche. I also love to check Reddit, Quora, and answer the public for issues that people deal with. With Reddit, you always have tons of interesting subreddits where people share their woes and look for solutions. That's one way to get ideas and solve problems for your audience within your content. So think broadly in terms of your content pillars. By the way, content pillars are a must if you always want to have tons of ideas for content. So make sure to watch this video next to identify yours. Then we're going more granular and looking for more niche issues. So for example, as a speaking coach, there's a subreddit for public speaking or Toastmasters, but there are also different ones for social skills, small talk, debate, communication, so it can all be a source of inspiration if you have time to dig deeper. Quora works very, very similarly. You just type in the subject your audience is interested in or some keywords they may be searching for, and you'll see tons of questions that are ready to be turned into content. Once you get to a point when you have a neat list of ideas, I love to organize it a little, and this I feel is such a powerful technique. First, I separate all of my ideas into my content pillars, which makes sure that I'm always aligned and stay within my niche. This is why I said not to limit yourself before. When you organize, things will become much clearer and some ideas just won't hit the same. Sure, it's all right to post something outside of your pillars, outside of your niche from time to time if you feel strongly about it or just know that your audience will benefit from it. But in general, this will give you a lot more of that clarity and you can discard weaker ideas at this point. Then for each of the pillars, I imagine a roadmap that my follower might take when consuming the content. So I think of the individual pieces of content as small and big steps that they take to get to their goal or ideas that may change their way of thinking. This can be approached in so many different ways as long as you take them on a path to a specific outcome. What I love about this approach is that it reveals any missing steps or gaps that give you more content ideas, and these are especially powerful. These are often the missing links, the parts that people may not think about but are actually crucial on their journeys. Creating a roadmap for your audience means that you can consistently deliver value. But don't just stop on just the main road and think of other smaller branches that may lead from it. Once you're done, you'll see a big system with connections throughout, and this so often means endless ideas for content. And I mean it. Once you dig so deep and organize well, you'll always see new content ideas on the horizon, and you'll rarely have to go through that process again, apart from maybe the occasional glance at the current search terms and questions on socials. Of course, in the spirit of fostering connection and keeping in touch with your specific audience, I highly recommend you regularly reach out to your audience to source ideas too. Not only is it a great way to build relationships, but it means you're also learning more and more about them specifically, which translate to better strategies and better results in your business. Instagram is fantastic here because you can hold Q&A super easily in your stories, and if you've not tried it before, go ahead and do it because you usually get really amazing questions and therefore very specific content ideas. If you're brave enough, you can also go live from time to time because real life questions from the audience live are usually very informative and also very current too. And of course, don't shy away from having conversations in your DMs. Naturally, of course, without forcing anything, because more often than not, people will reveal their needs to you openly, and this is your opportunity to translate these conversations into content that can help more people outside of your own inbox. And speaking of conversations, working with other creators in your niche is such a fun way to get unique content out there. Collaborations are a great way to connect with another portion of your target market and put yourself in front of completely new eyes. If done well in a supportive and authentic spirit, working with another creator is such a win-win for both. You get to create completely fresh and inspiring content together, but you're also serving your respective audiences and likely growing your following at the same time. You can try connecting naturally with other creators who are similar in size to your account, either from your niche or another industry, which may go very well with what you talk about. When you feel like the vibe is good and you're aligned, you may suggest a collaboration. Now, another form of creating collaborative content for your audience audience would be to interview someone or do a roundup of insights from different creators too. Of course, all that is fantastic, but unless you sprinkle in your experience, your perspective, and your values in the story behind what you do, you're not going to stand out. At the end of the day, you yourself are what differentiates you from what's out there with your own quirks, your mannerisms, your idiosyncrasies, and it's your voice that's going to make your content unique. So please, please, please don't hide behind your knowledge. Don't shy away from sharing who you are and what you stand for, because that's the biggest superpower you've got in the online space and beyond. And at the end of the day, audiences connect with human beings and always crave authenticity. So if you show up as your amazing self, you can build an incredible community of individuals who openly exchange experiences, who grow together and support each other. And this is truly, truly invaluable. So share openly, document your journey, share your wins and your struggles beyond just the strategy and the expertise. By the way, this point is also covered in the social trends reports. I highly recommend you check it out and download it for free using the link below. And a big thank you again to HubSpot for sponsoring today's video. Make sure to watch this video right now to figure out your content pillars, then to attract your ideal audience and post content that connects with them, and this one to learn how to use SEO and Instagram to get more eyes on your posts. Subscribe and hit that like button. It's the best way to support my channel at no cost to you. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.